think this talk has come at a timely time. I've always wanted to find wild reissues. We'll talk about reissue in a minute. And over the last 6 months, I've just been finding wild reissue.
Is it possible to turn the volume up?
How's that? Okay. I'll get louder as I get into it. So these wild reissues have just been appearing. I mean, I go into the nice forest looking for them, but they're normally a very elusive mushroom. And people have been giving me wild reissues that they found, and tinctures that they made out of wild reissues. So the herbs are talking. It's time for them to reach a wider audience. So this evening I'm going to touch on some of these super herbs. I think before I start, kind of give you a bit of an intro. I got into super herbs through David Wolf, who some of you would have heard speaking. He inspired me to look into it. I started using some of them, and I don't use them all the time. I use varying degrees. I mean, at the moment I'm drinking a reishi tea with Tahibo in it. In winter, or when it starts cooling down, I really like drinking teas. And we normally have a pot on our wood-burning stove going with reishi tea pretty much all the time in winter when we've got a fire going. So that's kind of how I got into using the herbs. And a lot of what I will say tonight is illegal. Just start with that. It was funny, I got sent a layman's understanding of the draft legislation for the new medical, I don't know what you want to call it, Medical Control Council standard on medicines. And they basically want to make anything that's vaguely medicinal a registrable medicine. So they basically want to take anything that's a food that people are claiming is a medicine, they want to put it straight into medicine, which means that you have to spend millions of rands going through the registration process, testing, all sorts of stuff. Very strange indeed. We'll see how far that actually gets in South Africa. It's one of the nice things about this country. We are still third world in some respects. I believe the MCC themselves were just shut down for a while because of a fraud investigation. So it's government. Luckily, we have talks like this that you can come to and actually hear about the stuff, because you wouldn't hear about it on the news or any other channel on TV, probably. Unless you're watching Hectic Night Live, because I'll be on that tomorrow talking about this stuff again. But it is leaking out, and what we're talking about here are things that are a little bit different from superfoods, which is what I normally talk about. This is whole food medication rather than whole food supplementation. So medication, we're talking about foods or herbs that have been used medicinally for thousands of years. Actually, you go to a medical doctor, whether it's a Chinese medical doctor or a Vedic medical doctor, and they do testing, questionnaires, constitutional analysis, whatever it might be, and then they will prescribe you herbs, and you will go home with little bags of herbs, and you'll either take them as powders, you'll make teas with them, capsules. How many of you have been to some kind of doctor that's giving you herbs in a powder form like that? Okay, a few of you. Okay, brilliant. I mean, look, Africa, South Africa, I mean, that's African herbal medicine. That's what it is. You know, you go and you see a herbalist and they're going to give you herbs. And this is where Western medicine came from originally, was herbs have healing. Corporations just went, we don't like the idea we can't control herbs, so we're going to look at the active ingredient, isolate it, patent it, and make billions off it. So that's what we have today in the medical industry. So these have incredible healing properties. So I'm going to touch on a few different medicinal systems: Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, Amazonian herbalism, and African herbalism. You know, these guys have been using these herbs literally for thousands of years. Anyone have any idea how old Western medicine is? Especially prescriptionist, drug-based Western medicine? 100 years max. So Chinese medicine, 5,000 years of history. I mean, traditionally there you pay your doctor to keep you well. If you get sick, you stop paying them. Imagine the turnaround in our disease care systems. If you suddenly stop paying for being ill but paid to be healthy, that would be something. At this point, I'd also like to mention that I am not a herbalist. I'm a researcher. I like digging, finding information, finding what works for me, and then sharing that, which is what I do with superfoods and raw foods and that kind of thing. And I'm going to mention a few points about these herbs tonight, but I can't prescribe exactly which ones to use in which ways. Fortunately, many of the herbs I'll be talking about are called tonic herbs, which means you really can't get it wrong. As long as you use them at the dosage that are on the packages, they'll be fine for you. But there are obviously cases where particular herbs will be prescribed for particular conditions and situations, not only based on your disease symptoms, but also on your constitution, the type of person you are. So if you really want to get into the herbs on that level, find someone, Chinese medical doctor or Ayurvedic practitioner or even an African herbalist, who can look at you, do an assessment and actually say, okay, use this and this and this. So what's happening? It's the whole public world at the moment. Everyone thinks the answer to their ills is in a pill. When you take, what does Deepak say? When you isolate the active ingredients, you take the intelligence out and leave the wisdom behind. So these amazing herbs have got intelligence and wisdom. This has been proven through DNA analysis. That the DNA in these herbs are specific. They cause specific reactions in our cell membranes. They cause specific genetics to be released. So taking the herbs in whole, they have that effect. When you isolate one of the ingredients, there's no DNA left. It's a chemical. Once there's no DNA, there's no signaling that goes through to your DNA to create RNA, to create your body. So you lose all the wisdom and intelligence. Literally, you lose it when you isolate to that degree. I just was trawling on the internet yesterday looking at some statistics on what's going on in the world. America has the most statistics. These are official ones from the CDC, Center for Disease Control. So they're probably under-reporting quite hugely here. And if you just look from 2000 to 2008 in an 8-year period, you're looking anywhere between a 20% and a 40% increase in pill popping in the population in the States. So there's a huge rise in the amount of medicines people are consuming. And this is just what I found in chatting to people who are on multiple medications and talking to doctors who know the industry. That it's very rare for someone to go onto a pill, get well, and get off the pill. Normally, they get onto a pill, they stay on that pill for a while, they have side effects, so they have to take a pill for the side effects. That pill has side effects, they have to take a pill for those side effects. Some other thing comes along, they need a pill for that. That has side effects, take a pill for that. And eventually, you're like 20 pills later. You've got a little box with all sorts of colours. And I always wondered to myself, at what point in that process, from 1 pill to 20 pills, did the person not go, these results suck? Like, I thought this was supposed to help me. How am I suddenly on so many now? You know, someone's making money off me, clearly. And they're not cheap, they're hugely expensive. So we want to try and get out of that headspace and get into finding things that are actually effective and that work. Now, going back to the traditional ancient wisdom and knowledge of these cultures, they've been practicing medicine for a very, very long time. This was one that I found interesting. There's projected rise in cases of 7 of the most common chronic diseases projected over the next 20 years. And you can see in cancer, 62% projection, which is likely also quite low. But all of them projected massive rises. So with all the billions and billions of rands and dollars that's thrown at cancer research and the rest of it, it's amazing that this stuff just keeps rising. You'd think with that much money, they would have figured it out by now. What's happening? I found something about South Africa. It was amazing. It was an article that Minister of Health said that there were some findings they recently released on where we're at in South Africa with diseases, especially incurable diseases like diabetes and heart disease. And basically they said that it presents an emerging epidemic in this country. Massive increases in heart disease, in cancer, in diabetes. Diseases that you can't catch from anyone else. And diseases that are lifestyle based. They're based on people living unnatural lifestyles, eating unnatural food, thinking unnatural thoughts. High stress, high tension. This is the city lifestyle. So it's the lifestyle that's causing all the problems, and then people go, well, I have to earn my money, I have to do what I have to do, so I need a pill, because it's quick. I don't have to think about it, and not only that, but the doctor told me. And look, I think doctors do amazing work out there if you've had a car accident or, if you need some acute attention, but for these kind of diseases, dismal failure. So traditionally, these herbs are known as adaptogens. So what they do is they balance the whole body. They don't function on specific pathways. The research has shown that and I'm going to share it with you, that there are some specific actions, but adaptogens have a general tonifying effect on the body. They have an effect that lifts the whole body up, strengthens all the systems, improves the functioning of all body systems so that you can cope with the stress in your life better. Because stress really at its core is the cause of all those diseases, stress in some way. So we need support in our stressful lifestyles until we can change our lifestyles to be less stressful. And those should really go hand in hand. So in Chinese medicine, they call tonic herbs any herb that you can consume on a daily basis at moderate doses and have no negative effect from it. So you can take it every day, day after day, year after year, and you just get benefits. Those are the tonic herbs. And there are a certain number of them in Chinese medicine. I'm only going to mention a few this evening. Those are the ones that are really safe to take and often the most powerful. They are the treasures of traditional Chinese medicine. Because there are very few things you can actually take every day, day after day, year after year, and not eventually have some build-up of something in your body. We're designed to move around, eating different things at different times and different seasons. And then key at the bottom there, the tonic herbs are adaptogens. They're non-specific because they balance and tone, which is quite different from boosting or suppressing, which is what Western medicine does. It normally suppresses a certain action in the body for a result. Whereas this kind of medicine is balancing and toning on the whole system, so that all the systems start coming in line, rather than one system suppressed so that you don't have those symptoms anymore, which causes the problem further downstream. Which is often why people need to take more and more drugs, because one thing is suppressed, which causes a knock-on effect in our body. For those who don't remember everything I say tonight, I do have a chapter at the end of our Magical Superfoods book on these herbs. Much of what I'm speaking about tonight comes from the book, so you can go and read up there and refresh. Also, I am filming, so you can always view this on YouTube later if you want. So I'm going to start with the medicinal mushrooms, because they've been coming to me, speaking to me. I was drinking some tonight.